right, welcome everyone to another episode of Vinny Presents. I'm Vinny from South Philly, and today we have a gentleman from the windy city of Chicago. You've seen him in General Hospital, Bold and Beautiful. Most recently, in Tulsa Kings as Johnny the Zip. We have Gaetano, Guy Nardulli. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Vinny. Good to be here, man. Thanks for having me. Excited.
It's my pleasure, my friend, and I'm very excited as well. I want to thank our mutual friend Tom for introducing us virtually, and I'm so delighted to have you here. And again, a little plug for Tom. You can check Tom out at New Theory Podcast. He's got a great show and many other things that Tom does. And one of the things is he's instrumental in bringing great people together, such as yourself. So,
Yeah,
Gaetano,
Tom's a big guy.
tell us a little bit about yourself, and the viewers are very interested in knowing more about your acting background, but also your personal background as well.
Originally from Chicago, born and raised here in a little village called Howard Heights. Went to Ridgewood High School, if anyone knows where that's at out here. Never really wanted to be an actor. I, went from high school football to college football to little pro ball, opening up a restaurant, and I just fell into acting. And once I got in front of the camera, I just fell in love with it. Italian background, grew up in Little Italy out here. Families from Italy, from Mola di Bari. I speak Italian fluently. It's actually gotten me a couple jobs because of my ability to speak Italian. But yeah, pretty much that's it in a nutshell. I fell into acting 21 years ago. I had retired from football. I had a restaurant. I was doing some fitness modeling. I did a calendar down in Jamaica, and the woman that was running the event, Jill DiCello, shout out to Jill. She's an amazing woman. I give her all the credit for starting my acting career. Said I should go out to Hollywood, meet a couple people. I ended up meeting Mark Teschner, who's the casting director for General Hospital. Handed me some papers with words on it. They're known as signs. I didn't know what they were. I just read them, and next thing you knew, I was on General Hospital. It happened just as fast, and I died just as fast. If you could believe that. The acting world is cruel. I got on a show, and I was like, "Wow, this is easy. I don't know about this starving actor stuff," and then I died almost immediately. I'm like, "Oh, now I understand the hard part of the business." So, but that was 21 years ago, and like I said, once I got in front of the camera, the bug bit me, and I just grew from there, man. I loved it. I love it now.
And it's a constant discussion I have with a lot of actors out there. It's like it's either have it or you don't, and you know right away. And in your case, obviously, you had it within you. Now, of course, a lot of training goes into that. A lot of a lot of auditions, a lot of hard work. But it's great when you discover that little hidden talent you didn't realize you had.
Yeah, even with the little hidden talent that you have, see, I base everything off of sports. I grew up an athlete. Like I said, I played high school, college, and pro football, and everything that you do there, you have to build upon it. Like you could be good, you could be great, you could be excellent, but you're none of that unless you put the work into it. And I teach an acting class back in LA, and I say this to all my students: if you put in the work, you're going to work. Like you got to put in the work. Talent is there. The talent is there. You're going to work. It's as simple as it gets. But if you don't go to the gym every day, right, you're never going to stay in shape. You're never going to be healthy. You're never going to be able to run as fast, lift as much, tackle as hard if it was for football. The same thing for acting. You're never going to be able to use that muscle correctly if you're not training it. And I constantly train. I'm in class. I teach a class. I work with an acting coach myself constantly for auditions. So it's always a work in progress. You're never ever at the peak with it. You're always working at it. I mean, Pacino, Meryl Streep, they all still have acting coaches. So who am I not to keep working at it? It's a workout. If you don't, if you stop doing it, you're gonna get rusty at it.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's true. You got to continue to just like you're lifting weights, continue to keep exercising your mind muscles to continue being a better actor each and every day. It's an important point. Now, tell us how the transition was Chicago to LA. Tell us a little bit about that.
Chicago to LA. March 3rd, 2003, I got in my car and I drove off. When I got to LA at first, it's, you're bright eyed, you're looking at it, and you're like, oh wow, Hollywood dreams and Hollywood Boulevard, you're looking for celebrities and yada yada yada. Then you start to realize, well, at least for me, for myself, I started to realize what I was missing back home. And for 21 years, I've been in Los Angeles, and I've missed Chicago every year. I come back three, four times a year just because I got to get a taste of the values, the traditions, the I call it the authenticity of the city, of where I grew up. That's what I was missing in LA. I love LA. Don't get me wrong. LA is great. It's a great city. Um, the people are nice. The food is okay. Good restaurants. Nothing beats the Italian food here in Chicago. I know Philly's going to argue this. I know New York will argue this, but nothing beats the food in Chicago. I love it. So it's my own personal opinion on it. Um, but when I moved to Los Angeles, the transition there, I didn't really know anybody when I went to Los Angeles. So I had to start all over. All the friends that I had cultivated through my time here in Chicago, I had to start over in LA, and I got lucky. I met two guys. We ended up, in acting class, we ended up becoming roommates for a while, and we're still the best of friends. And one lives in Arizona, one lives in North Carolina. All of us were pursuing acting. Now both of them are, they moved out. One has a gym in Arizona called the Body Lab. Shout out Paul Green, you're welcome. My other buddy, Shalom, he's in medical sales. He's in North Carolina raising a family. But I met these two guys, and it made it easy, right? There was the three of us. All of us would had with similar goals, similar backgrounds, family values, and we just resonated together, and it made it easy. And I think that made me being out there alone less lonesome. You know what I'm saying? I had guys I could count on. I had a nucleus of two guys that were just, it was a fist. It was awesome.
And that's all you need sometimes. You just need that little bit of support system to get you through the days. And I understand, of course, I identify with it. I lived out there as well, and the struggle to find, as you said, that authenticity, or just a nice place to eat. It was pretty hard. Growing up the way we did, very similar. My parents are from Italy as well. You don't get that same type of food, let's say, or Sunday gravy, or maybe you say sauce, but you miss those things.
Sauce, it's sauce. Don't call it great. Problem here.
I had to start trouble in these shows, so that was my little zinger.
There it is.
Anyway,
There's the dig. There's the dig.
but now, and I can understand that, and it's, sadly, as you well know, that most people, unfortunately, most people don't make it. They stay there for a while, and it's just for whatever reason. It's not their fault. Many times, it's just the circumstances, and they pack it up and they leave. It's a tough town, and it's getting tougher from what I understand. Everybody I'm talking to, very tough
Yeah,
town to survive.
it's not easy. It's not easy, and perseverance, persistence, are key. I think who I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. I think Joe Rogan said something along the lines of, "If you quit, you're never going to make it, but if you stay in it, you might." Like if you quit, you're never going to make it. If you quit, you're done. It's over. But if you stay in it, you might make it. And that's the dice you got to roll, right? I mean, that's the gamble you got to take. And I think it goes with everything. The only thing is that there's no structure, there's no like formula to make it as an actor. There is no blue pill, red pill to take, right? As a lawyer, you go to school, you go to college, you go to law school, you get your law degree, you get your Juris Doctorate, boom, you're a lawyer, right? As a doctor, same thing. You're going to school, you do your 4 years, you do your med school, you do your residency, and then you're a doctor, right? And there's a formula to that. As an actor, there is no formula, right? I mean, it is a lot of luck, right? You got to get lucky. You could be the most talented person in the world, and I know a lot of really talented actors that just haven't gotten lucky. And I, fortunately, for 21 years, have gotten lucky. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to say I got there just from my devilishly handsome looks and my great talent. Kidding, by the way. I got lucky. I landed a couple roles, and from there it progressed. I got great management. My manager, I love her dearly. She's amazing. She's my bulldog. She's my friend. She's my sister. She like takes care of me to no end. So that's important. You need a supporting cast. Otherwise, you're in trouble.
how did you get how did you get a representative? I know a lot of people. It's always that sort of catch 22 and Murphy's law kind of scenario where you can't get an agent unless you do something, and you can't do anything unless you have an agent. It's kind of a self defeating thing. But how was it? How was it for you to try to get an agent?
Well, agent wise, it was pretty simple because when I got out there, I got General Hospital right away. So I had a job, right? I had something that the agent can make money on. So it was a little bit easier in that sense. I stayed with Nancy Chaidez. God rest her soul. She passed a couple of years ago. She was my first agent out there. Great. She loved me. I loved her. She believed in me from that, from the minute I got out there. It wasn't just because I was on General Hospital. It was, she really believed in me. I kind of did the seek and destroy aspect of it. I kind of went out there, I'm like, okay, who can I go with? I had dreams and aspirations to be with the CAAs, the ICMs, the William Morrises, but I learned quickly that that's also not an easy task to get. For them, you're actually a tax return. If you're not worth anything to them, they're not signing you. So I ended up with the Nancy Chaidez agency, um, just through meeting people through class and then having General Hospital. I ended up getting in with Nancy, and then years later, I ended up finding Ricky Dale, and with Ricky Dale Management. I wish I would have found her when I first moved out there. Like I said, she's amazing, but everything happens for a reason and for time. And we just happened to cross paths. I think it was a friend of mine that got us introduced. And then from there, it just grew. And it's relationships. It really is. You know how they say it's who you know? Kind of true, kind of who you know.
As much as you try to circumvent that sort of law. It's true. It is who you. But look, I mean, you have to come prepared. You have to be of value too. I think a lot of people I speak with sometimes are like, if I get an agent, or if I get a representative or a manager, I know, that'll help me out. But you also have to do your part, which is you have to put the work in, because
Yep.
it's got to be a mutually beneficial relationship.
I mean, what's the phrase or what's the saying that goes with, to be lucky? It's when preparation meets opportunity, you'll get lucky. If you're prepared, right, for the opportunity, you'll get lucky. And it's as simple as it goes. I prepared myself. I really did, man. I put the work in, and I'm continually putting the work in, I'm starting to see the fruits of my labor. Like, it's overnight success in LA is not overnight, as everyone should know. Like, Vin Diesel took 15 years. You know, Sly, who I got the fortunate to work on a show with right now, it took him a while, right? It didn't happen overnight. It takes time. Sometimes overnight success takes 5 years, sometimes 10, sometimes 15. For me, I want to say it took about a good 10 years before I really, really, really started seeing work coming in. And then on my 21st year, I land a great opportunity at a great show. So it takes time.
Well, that's a good segue too. You just mentioned Sly Stallone. And by the way, the shirt there, that phrase was invented in South Philly. That's a South Philly.
Oh, yeah, I did the steps. I did the steps and everything for the first time. Was it 3 years ago? I did the steps. Man, that was like Disneyland. Like, Philly's got something there for you. And those steps, thank you, Sly. I did those steps. It was like me being in Disneyland. I got up to the top. I did the whole thing. It was fun. It was
Yeah,
fun.
he really put those steps on the map. And I think I speak for everyone, not just in South Philly, but in Philadelphia in general, maybe around the world, that we were so upset when they brought the statue down, because it used to be at the top of the steps, and they brought it down to towards the bottom left of it, and or the bottom right of it, and that really like peeved off a lot of people. I think a lot of people haven't forgiven the city about that, but or maybe the art museum itself. But anyway, we of course Stallone is like a saint here. He's bona fide patron saint of South Philly. Um, and I had the blessing to have met him several times, and he was a great guy, and his brother Frank. I mean, great people. And so, tell us about that you got the gig with Tulsa Kings, and how it was actually working with him in the cast.
Well, I was in season one. I was in episode 8 of season one. And when the breakdown came out, and that's when casting sends out a list of characters to the agents and managers, they're called breakdowns. So when the breakdown came out, I saw it and I flipped. I, you know, since I was like a child, Sylvester Stallone has been my idol. I mean, I'm talking Lords of Flatbush. I'm not even talking Rocky. I'm talking like, before that. And watching his career progress, an Italian American, he's from the same hometown as my parents. Um, like he's just an ultimate idol. So when I saw the breakdown come out, I got super excited. I hit my manager up. I'm like, hey, we got to get in on this. Please do whatever you can to get me an audition for it. So I actually had read for Vince's role, Vince Piazza, who plays Vincent on the show. I initially had read for that role. I didn't get it, obviously, it went to Vince. Um, and I was like, oh man, I was disappointed. I was like, God, I really wanted to be on the show. And then weeks later, my manager calls me back up and goes, hey, I got another role for Tulsa King for you. It was for Johnny the Zip. She explained the character to me, an affiliate with the New York mob family. They're having a discussion about what they're going to do at the funeral. And I'm like, oh yeah, great. So I auditioned for it. A couple weeks later, I find out I get it. I'm head over heels excited because my name is now attached with my idol, right? It's attached with Stallone. So I thought my first episode going out there, I was going to work with him. I didn't get to see him. I was like, oh God, that sucked. I wish I would have saw him. But I did get to work with some great, great actors, man. Chris Coldovino, Dominic Lombardozzi, Joe Rico Bene, Ron Castellano. I mean, these guys are amazing. Vince Piazza, like these guys are studs, studs. Dom and Vince, I had the pleasure of working season 2 with a whole bunch. And these guys are great, great actors, great to be around, working with one another. So I jumped ahead so fast to season 2. So when season 1 ended, I was like, oh God, I didn't die. I'm like, you come back for season 2. I was like, it's excited. I'm like, I didn't get killed. So we waited a while, and then the strike happened, and it postponed pretty much all of Hollywood. And then, like, a couple months after the strike, I get a call from my manager saying, hey, they want to bring you back. And I was like, oh, wow, great. How many episodes? And she listed out, well, right now they're only going to bring you back for 3 episodes. I'm like, okay, great. I'm in. And then 3 turned into 4, 4 turned into 5, 5 turned into 6. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. I'm like now heavily concurring on a show with Sly. And let me give you the story. Sorry, I know I'm yapping a lot here. But let me give you the story. When I first saw Sly, it was like seeing Santa Claus. I I swear I was like a 3-year-old looking at Santa Claus. And so I was looking at him from a distance. He was working his scene, and I'm just standing there and I'm watching him and watching him work. And he was just glowing. Like he had this glow about him and his voice and everything about him, his stature. I was a 3-year-old staring at Santa Claus. He was great. And he's amazing on set. Like not a single person on set has anything bad, negative to say about him. He's great with the cast. He's great with the crew. He's a family guy. The family's on set with him. Like he's a great, great man. Great man. But seeing him,
I
man, I was a child. I was so giddy. I almost fanboyed out, and I couldn't. I remember I had a conversation with Chris, and he's like, "Whatever you do, don't fanboy out." He's like, don't do it. He's like, he'll respect it. All that'll happen. He's like, but he'll respect you more as a peer if you don't fanboy out. I'm like, okay. Well, I was so close to fanboying out. I was so close.
And for those that may not know, fanboy means when you're pretty much like slobbering and being like, "I'm a big fan. I love Just Toast too." That's pretty much what a fanboy would do, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would have been a child. Oh my God, Mr. Stallone, how are you doing? Love you and Rocky, Rambo, oh yeah, Oscar. So
sign my SAG card.
yeah, please here's my SAG card. Can you sign that, please? No, he was great. And then when we wrapped, I have a friend of mine who has a shop, a store, online store, that I bought like some cigar lighters and t-shirts for the casting for a couple of guys. So it was really cool, man. This was being on the show. It's like a dream come true, it's the work to get to a level where I'm at now. Do I want more? Yeah, absolutely. But if my acting career were to end tomorrow, I would be extremely happy about the work I did. I mean, I got to work with 2 of the Rocks. I got to work with Dwayne Johnson on Red Notice. I got to work with Rocky Balboa on Tulsa King.
That's a big deal, and I know what you mean because I met Stallone when he did Rocky Balboa in the Italian market in Philly. I grew up a block away from that market, and I just happened to be, working that day, and I passed by to see what everything was going on, and he was there, and I see, and I understand that what you mean by it's like you seen Santa Claus. I likened it to seeing the Pope, but Santa Claus is just as valid, and I
See the
got to
Pope, see
meet
the
him.
Pope.
It was cool. He was very nice.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, it's been good. And the show comes out Sunday, September 15th on Paramount Plus. Season 2 premieres. Episode 1, you'll see a familiar face. You'll see a familiar face in episode 1. Johnny the Zip shows up in episode 1, and then the season starts. It's a great season. There's a lot of new faces coming in. I could say it because it's already out there. Like Frank Grillo is on the show. Neil McDonough is on the show. The storyline is great. Um, you know, Taylor Sheridan and Terry Winters, they got together and they put together a marvelous season. The storyline is gonna take you for a ride. There's some surprises that happen. So please tune in from 1 to 10. Don't miss an episode.
Absolutely, we'll definitely be there to, and most of all, support you as well. But Gaetano, tell us a little bit about your role as a producer and some of these other projects that you're involved in.
Well, currently Kevin Internato and myself, Kevin, who was on the show previously with you, hit me up a couple years ago to do a movie called Dirty Hands. We tried to put it together a year ago, a year and a half ago, and funding just didn't go through. And then this year, we got the money together. We got a great cast together, and I'm producing it here in Chicago. We're filming it all of it here in my hometown. Thanks to the mayor of this town, she opened up the town to us and said, "Whatever you want, you got it." It's an action movie. Two brothers basically foul up a drop, like they got to do a drop for their boss. They foul it up. It all takes place in one night. So as they foul up this drop, the boss is chasing them throughout the whole town, trying to get the money back and intertwining the city, intertwining the relationship between the brothers and their relation with the wrong side of the fence and trying to do right and doing one last thing. Putting it together has been fun. We got Michael Beach attached, who's also on Tulsa King. We got Denise Richards attached. Some of you may know her from Starship Troopers. She was a Bond girl. Denise Richards is amazing, and then Patrick Muldoon, who was huge soap star. He was on Days of Our Lives for a long time. Starship Troopers, very good friend of mine. We got him attached. Kevin Internato is starring in it. It's action packed, man. It's gonna be fun. There's a lot of heavy driving, a lot of fights. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to do.
Sounds great. Looking forward to that. So now being changing hats for a minute there, you're going from actor to producer. How do you feel? How's the transition? How's the multitasking going with that?
Wearing a lot of hats is I actually was thinking about this last night. I'm like, oh my God, I still gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. And it's like, wow, there's a lot of work that goes into making a movie. And you don't know that until you sit on this side of the fence. Everything from craft services, right? Feeding everybody, their snacks every day, to signing paperwork with SAG, signing paperwork with the state, signing paperwork with the city, getting cast locked, dealing with management, representation, locations, making sure everything is fine with the locations. We locked locations, I want to say about a month ago. This week I came back into Chicago and I just went to go solidify the locations. And thank God I did, because some of the days they were a little worried about. So I had to make sure that the days are correct. So with acting, you get a script, right? You get your words, you learn your dialogue, you do your background work for your character, you're developing your character. As a producer, you're doing that for the whole thing, right? You're doing that not only for development of characters and of the actors, you're doing it for development of the story, development of the project. You're putting out fires. You're constantly, there's constantly something happening that you have to do. Every day is a new challenge. I got to go to a restaurant now, trying to get find catering for the project. So that aspect of it and learning that really shifted my thoughts on what it takes to make a movie, because there's a lot more that goes into it. And the hats that I'm wearing, and I'm wearing a lot of them, are usually distributed amongst a lot of people. And there's a lot of hands that go into making a movie. And Kevin and I have great support, but we're really hands-on. Kevin's directing it, he wrote it. Um, and he gave me full reign. He's like, hey man, let's go make this movie, go do it. He trusts me, I trust him. So signing the checks is really simple, but we're being really, really smart about how we're doing all that.
All right, fantastic. And we're just going to wrap it up, and I'll ask you one more question, and that being for those out there that are just, still kind of beginner actors and producers, any advice you would give them for right now, modern times, on how to persevere and how to excel in the business.
We'll be a lawyer or a doctor.
That's what our parents
Class. Yeah, and our parents would be like, why weren't you a lawyer or a doctor the way I wanted you to be? No. No, seriously though, like do the work, like get into an acting class, surround yourself with the strong core people that have the same work ethic as you. Don't get lost in the celebrity of things. I say this to my acting class all the time. If you're doing this for the money, get out. Legitimately get out. Like, if you look at it, the SAG insurance, you got to earn X amount of dollars to get it. And only 18% of the working actors are at that level. Of the 18%, 1% are your millionaires, your multi-millionaires, your Brad Pitts and your De Niro's and your Halle Berry's, down the line. They're the top 1%. So don't do this for money. You got to do this for the love of acting, the passion of it, and get in class. Get in class, work your ass off in class, like getting in the gym, study, learn as many techniques as you can. There's not just one particular technique to sit in. Like, don't sit in Stella Adler, don't sit in Meisner, don't sit in Method. Those are all great techniques. Learn them all. Put as many tools in your belt as you can, and have fun. Find something else to do in the meantime, because it could be depressing. You sitting there waiting for the phone to ring could kill you. So get out, get in the gym, paint, go learn. I'm learning how to tap dance. I can't tap dance. I'm learning how to tap dance. Like, find other avenues to release some of the tension of being depressed about the business, because it could be depressing waiting around. But it's fun, man. Like, I'm not gonna knock it. It's fun. It's exciting. When you get a job, it's like Christmas. It's like Christmas morning, opening up those gifts. So be enthused every day about it. The minute you lose the passion for it, you need to stop. It was like me in football. The minute I lost the passion of playing, I stopped. Like, I just lost the passion. And that's where it ends. It's like, if you're passionate about something, go for it. Passionate about cooking, go cook. If you're passionate about acting, get in it, live in it, breathe it, read it, eat it, and just surround yourself with that core of people.
And you just said something that is I can identify with. That's important too. Sometimes for lack of a better word, you get tired of something. I think that eventually you evolve as a person, you mature as a person, and there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm going to do that. And I'm totally, for years we're taught to, oh well, you got to, even if you don't like it, I keep going. No, you're allowed to say, you know what, I'm taking a different path. But I probably speak for both of us when I say hard work and consistency does pay off. And most of all, don't be a fanboy.
Fanboy, don't do it. Hard work, consistency pays off. Don't fanboy out on anybody.
Don't do it.
Don't forget about it. Don't do it. It's bad for you.
Don't be a dumpski. Well, Gaetano, it's been a pleasure, man. I can't wait to see you in this new project that you're working on, and I'm sure I speak for the viewers as well. We're going to definitely be tuning in to Tulsa King and support you in any way we can. And for those you watching, make sure, please go into social media, follow him, go to IMDb. If you have any websites, please let us know about it.
Instagram, it's safety24. It's my football position and number, if anyone asks. Guy Nardulli on Facebook, and Guy24 on X now, I think it is, not Twitter. I don't really use Twitter as often, but I'm on that platform too.
And
So,
we'll make sure that they're included in the description box. So make sure you click on that, support him. And any last words, Guy, before we go?
well, I appreciate you having me on, man. This was fun. It's always good to come back to Chicago, Philly. We're always going there. The Blackhawks and the Flyers. You got to remember we beat you in the Stanley Cup, so I gotta throw that dig in there. But no, man, seriously, thank you so much for having me on the show. It was fun. It was exciting. Please, everyone, tune in September 15th, Sunday, Paramount Plus, Tulsa King. Great show. Enjoy it. Yeah, man. Vinny, thanks, man. This was fun.
It was my pleasure. And I'll have you know, I love my Flyers growing up in Ron Hextall, but my second favorite team was actually the Blackhawks. So we have a common interest
Okay.
there.
All right. All right.
Thanks again, everyone. You have been watching my man over here, Gaetano Guy Nardulli, fantastic actor and producer. And I encourage you to please make sure you follow, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again, Guy.
You got it. Thank you.